Hi fellas, it's Gav and welcome to a review of sorts of some recently purchased 10mm resin wargames buildings and terrain from a company called Battlescale. I have purchased these myself. I've not been given them or discount or anything like that, but I was really impressed with them, and I'd like to obviously give the guy who owns them, Steve Clay, a mention and try and get him some sales as he's just started up. I do have one disclaimer. I know Steve through the Tabletop Commanders Facebook group and chatted to him on the painting chats, and anybody that wants to see his work in progress, go to the Tabletop Commanders Facebook group or the 10mm Wargaming group, and probably some other groups, and you'll see his work on there. He's only recently started putting these products up again, and I just thought I'd buy some off him because you could see the pictures on the Facebook group, and they were absolutely fantastic. And as I've just started my 10mm, as you know, I thought, well, let's get some terrain. The product in front of you at the moment is a bridge, which I'll talk about a bit later on. However, if we just go through from beginning to end, I found it really easy to you weren't going to see that really properly, are you? I found it really easy to buy from Battlescale. Like a lot of places don't do. Steve actually sends you confirmation of your order, tells you it's been dispatched, all that type of thing. I'm surprised with me, even this day and age, how many companies, big and small, can't be bothered to do that. What I was really impressed with is the attention to detail. Obviously it comes in a standard cardboard box, we all know what they look like, but I wouldn't put it past some companies to put them in jiffy bags, but Steve does put them in a nice sturdy cardboard box, and they come, let's see if I can move this iPad around, they come wrapped like that in bubble wrap. Obviously this hasn't been opened yet. What I really like is attention to detail. Steve stuck one of those foam packing Watsits over the taller chimney on this one, and I'm desperately looking down my invoice to see which one this is called, and it is, I have no idea. I've ordered that much, I can't remember what it is. Oh, it's the European rendered townhouse with side steps, which you can only see through bubble wrap at the moment, because I am not going to try and get that out and hold this iPad at the same time. But as I say, lovely attention to detail, making sure the chimney isn't going to fall off if it's being shipped worldwide, something like that. Hopefully this one will be in shot. There we go. As you can see, this is the timber frame cottage. No, it's not, is it? Yeah, timber frame cottage with dormer. I bought this for £4.55. As you can see, it's still got its little Watsit on. Let's take that off. As you can see, absolutely no holes, no blowholes in it, no slippage, and the four I've painted up so far of different types of buildings have all been exactly the same. Absolutely perfect. As you can see, they're solid. Some of you guys that like your roofs lifting off and that, that it's preference, isn't it? Myself personally, I can't see why you can't just say, if you need to say that there's people in the building, you can't just say that. The only drawback you can have with these are, as you can see, they're very sharp edges and they're very heavy. Now, when you're having a row with your wife, these make fantastic throwing stars, as I found out the other week. Absolutely no damage to the building whatsoever, but a great big chunk of plaster out of the wall. So Steve, you might have to smooth those edges off, mate, because you're going to hurt somebody. So yeah, these is little timber frame cottage. Again, you could use this for how many periods could you use that for? I mean, I'm using it for the war in Ireland in 1690, but you can go through. I've also got a massive interest in the Great War, and you could do this Napoleonics, Great War, anything. What you do it now. I mean, I wouldn't say they're necessarily thick on the ground on my estate, but there's definitely places around where I live that have still got this type of style. So these are how they were packed. and what they look like in the raw. Let's have a look at a couple of painted examples. Right, now this is, again, can we get it all in shot? I bet not. I'm sorry guys. This is the timber framed townhouse 2-storey, and this was £6.50. And again, this is just my interpretation of it. You could paint those tiles at any colour you wanted to, really. I've just tried to use a nice Welsh slate, as they always said, did roof the world. And I've gone on this one for a softer, like a warmer colour background on the white, rather than the grey that you'll see probably on the next building. Now, I am reliably informed from an industry insider who wanted to remain nameless, thank you Ian, that this is an accurate representation of Steve's own cottage in the village of Firkham in the Marsh in North Staffordshire. After a long and varied singing career, Steve has retired to Firkham in the Marsh to actually produce these resin buildings. He was once the renowned frontman of a Vanilla Ice tribute band called Vanilla Slice, and anybody heard that fella sing, I'll tell you what, and I did, you'd have tears running down your eyes and blood running out your ears. Absolutely fantastic. But after an unfortunate experience with a thrown meat pie that landed on the stage, he was going through his act of gargling a pint of Tennent's and singing Ice Ice Baby at the same time, slipped on the pie off the stage and never had the courage to get back on again. So he turned to making resin buildings, and we're all thankful that he did. So this is the timber frame townhouse, 2-storey, and this came at £6.50. Right, sorry about the movement on this, but here we go for number 2. This is a Russian cottage. I'll be using it more for, again, the war in Ireland. I know it hasn't got a turf roof, but I'm using it for a war in Ireland and Scotland, and anything in between really, with a thatch roof. It's got a little log store on the back. I've done this one with a white, grey background. Now again, the same nameless insider, thank you Ian, has told me this is actually a scale representation of Paul Alber's house or cottage. Or actually no, it's a croft, isn't it? As we all know, Paul lives on the side of Glenmiller, where he is surrounded by fields of neeps and tatties, and he paints AB Napoleonics under a whale oil lamp. And this is supposedly a scale representation of his house. Again, lovely work. No holes in it, no slippage, nothing. Absolutely fantastic work, Steve. Really impressed. There you go. One Russian cottage. Now this little fella, this little ruin here, I would have expected, if there was going to be any like flash and bit, just I don't know what you call it in the sculpting world, but let's call it flash. I'd have thought it would have been in amongst all this lot, because putting all these tiny little bits in, the bricks and the bits of wood and whatever, I really thought there'd be, bits of resin stuck here, there and everywhere. And I know it's only a little object, but it's, to me, out of all the objects, it's probably one that you could probably go horribly wrong, and it hasn't. Again, you could use this for any period. I've got an up-and-coming Great Wall thing I'll be doing, and this will be very useful, or several of these when I get them. Now this, without anybody saying it, is this is really just how represents my house, apart from the car on the house bricks at the side of it. That just looks like mine after the wife's burnt the toast. Right guys, that's that one. And the last one is this big bridge. Now I know what you're all going to think now. What's he going to come up with this one? who owns this bridge. Well, nobody owns this bridge, although I have been told by the same nameless insider, thank you Ian, that it represents a bridge off London's M25 motorway. I am told by the same source that Fraser has actually been told by his good lady that if he comes back from Salute with more than one bag of goodies, he'll be living under that archway for at least 6 months. So, you know, be warned, Fraser. So again, I've painted this in brick. You could put this in, you know, granite style, or like Cotswoldy type style. You know, a bit the same colour as these cappings on here. I have been bugging Steve to do a 2-tier one, but I know this is one of the ones that gave him the most nightmares. I've painted this on now like a bit of a clay type colour for now, because I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with it yet. So if we actually go through a checklist, you know, what do we want out of products that we buy off the internet? I think you want a good ordering process for a start, and that ticks a box. I think when they're dispatched to you, they come in a box that can stand up, you know, to usage, and for the individual items to be packed. Well, we've seen that that's the case, so that's another tick in the box. The most important bit is when they're in your hands, what do they actually look like? Well, I just couldn't be disappointed with any of these. I was really, really chuffed. I'm not just making a video just because, you know, I know Steve. I mean, let's face it, Steve's trying not to know me for bloody years now, but I just think people need a lift up sometimes when they do. We all bag companies for doing things wrong, so let's actually bag people. Let's actually give some applause out to people that get it right. Absolutely fantastically sculpted and very, very crisp moulding. So that ticks another box. Because I know Steve, I know he's the type of guy, if you ever did have a problem, he'd put it right in a jiffy. That ticks another box. So, all in all, you know, you can't. I think the price. I mean, the actual. If I remember rightly, I think it was orders over £30. It was postage free. I got mine within about 3 days, which, you know, I think that you can't complain at that. So yeah. Just a couple of, you know, quick retractions. I may have just over-egged it on Steve's bio a bit, and also we all know that Paul Albert doesn't live on a croft in Glenmiller. He actually lives in a penthouse in London's Docklands. He bought with the proceeds of, I believe, cornering the green stuff market, which we all know Paul, and you can actually believe that. So, oh, and Fraser won't be living under no bridge. Come on, guys. No. His missus would never throw him out. She needs him to put those acro props under his man cave before it falls into the room below. So that's not going to happen. So, guys, if you're into 10mm, if you're into 6mm, Battlescale, battlescale.com is a place to go to. Give Steve a check out, see what he's got to offer. Go on the Tabletop Commanders Facebook group, the 10mm Wargaming Facebook group. You'll see his stuff. I'm sure he's probably on a 6mm group as well. I'm just not into that. So give him a go. If you've got mates and club mates, whatever, that you know are into this scale, then please, you know, give them a nudge and, you know, show them Steve's way. And if you do any other scale, go and hit his website. You know, get him some you know, views, likes, or whatever people do. So I'm sorry I've rambled, but that's my style, and I will catch you again on another one. Cheers, guys.